no one knows more about what type of work it takes to put a production together and to, really make a difference in the world. I am talking about Jenny Beth Martin, who is from the Tea Party Patriots. She worked with Dr. Simone Gold to put together this incredible event in front of the Supreme Court, America's Frontline Doctor Summit. She joins me now. Jenny Beth Martin, first of all, may I speak for the world in saying thank you for your vision, thank you for your timing. Can you tell me what inspired you to put this event together?
Thank you very much. It was very kind. I wanted to do this because I just am worried about our country right now. People are so afraid of COVID-19. And I've been talking to doctors around the country for weeks and weeks now. And I think that what I was hearing, the rest of the country needed to hear, so that maybe they could start to realize there are treatment options available now for COVID. We know a lot more about this virus now than we did when it first hit our shores, and there's reason to begin to have hope again while we continue to protect those who are the highest risk from COVID-19. And I thank you very much for your kind words.
So lots of people think exactly what you thought, right? They've seen a highway, they've seen a doctor. They said, I'd really love to see a bunch of doctors come together and speak in one voice so that they can protect themselves, right? So that there's safety in numbers. What is it about you that makes you different, someone that actually went out and did it? And of course, Simone Gold, who worked with you, what made you think you could pull something like this off?
Well, I'm so glad that Dr. Simone Gold was willing to do this right alongside with me, and she recruited the doctors, and the doctors who I have been in touch with, I've been in touch with because she did a letter and I helped her manage gathering signatures for that letter. So okay. We've had kind of a good coalition going for a few months now, but I just knew, I understand that sometimes the best thing that you can do is go do a press conference and say, hey, look, listen to us. It's more than just one doctor on Zoom and one doctor on Laura Ingraham and one doctor here and one doctor there. There are many doctors saying the exact same thing. And I figured if we could get a dozen or a couple of dozen doctors together from around the country, not just on Zoom, who aren't afraid to be around one another and are willing to travel and are willing to take the risks that are involved and still work to make sure that we are respecting the seriousness of the virus, which we did, and yep. And we made sure that we balanced that maybe it would send a message to America that, hey, look, maybe we're not understanding everything we need to about the virus. And also, there are some great doctors who are being interviewed, and even doctors who maybe I don't agree with everything they say or I don't understand everything they say, whichever it may be. But getting a 2-minute clip on an interview on television is just not the same as sitting down and taking a lot of questions from people in an audience, answering a lot of questions, and delving deep into the various issues that we talked about for hours and hours. We went for 6 hours live in a summit, and then we also had a 45-minute press conference. The press conference went viral, but we were going all day long on Monday.
An incredible event. I've been at many events like this, and I would say that this may arguably be one of the most successful events, especially when it came to the video put out by Breitbart. 17 million views in 6 hours. I don't know if that's a record, but if it's not, it is right in there of one of the most successful live events in the history of social media. How excited were you when you saw the numbers skyrocketing like that around the world?
I really was excited because I knew that meant we were getting our message out. And I think that even if it had been one single doctor up there saying what we said and Breitbart covered it, it would not have had the same impact as a doctor and then another doctor and another doctor and another doctor all saying something similar. And the similar message, of course, the media is focusing on hydroxychloroquine, and we did a lot of work to get the messaging out about hydroxychloroquine. But the overall message is there are treatment options available for COVID, and we wanted people to begin to have hope again. It wasn't a message of be afraid, go hide in your house, never leave your house again, your children can't go to school, you can't see your parents, you can't hug anyone, and be afraid of humanity. It was, hey, wait, let's take a deep breath, let's look at everything that's going on, and it is okay to have hope. And that's what these doctors were trying to convey. And so I think they were the right messengers with the right message, and they were saying things that maybe people have been talking about here and there, but because they were all together saying, all in one package, in a 45-minute package during the press conference, people wanted to hear it, and they shared it, and they shared it, and they shared it. I kind of, from a personal perspective, being involved in the Tea Party movement, that really was a viral movement back in 2009, maybe one of the first viral movements that was organized online the way that we did this back in 2009. A lot of that happened again this week. We were organizing with doctors from around the country. We'd never met people face to face until that week, or just a few weeks ago. I met 5 doctors face to face for the first time a few weeks ago in DC. And to see it go viral like that, it reminded me a bit of what was happening when we first started the Tea Party movement. And I'm really proud that we could partner with Breitbart. Andrew Breitbart was fearless, and the people who are at Breitbart right now, they continue to hold that same courage and conviction. They're under a lot of heat right now, and I appreciate the fact that they were willing to let these doctors say what needed to be said in an open press conference.
What then, when you saw this come crashing down? One thing was one social media platform, but this coordinated effort between Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all of a sudden this video came down. What did you feel at that moment?
Well, I just think it's completely outrageous. It's appalling, and it's deeply disturbing to me. These are doctors. They're licensed doctors. They have been treating patients or researching the drug, and they know a lot more about what they're talking about, I guarantee you, than the moderators who are taking things down. These are people who have been to medical school. And one thing I kept saying is, you don't have to believe me, ask the doctors. If you don't believe these doctors, go talk to your own doctor. So it's concerning to me that these moderators want to say, well, you can't listen to this set of doctors. You can only listen to these sets over here, and they have to comply with whoever it is saying things. This is America. We're supposed to have freedom of speech. We're supposed to have freedom of the press. And the social media companies are supposed to act like an open platform, like a town square. And we were in front of the Supreme Court. That is like being in front of a town square. It's a country square. And instead, they're just silencing us, and it's wrong, and it concerns me about the future of medicine in this country. It concerns me about the doctor-patient relationship, and it concerns me about our ability to express ourselves freely in this country.
Jenny Beth Martin, you are so clearly spoken. It's no wonder you are as capable as you are to put together an event like this. I want to say, I made a film called Backs that got kicked out of Tribeca. That was a very scary moment, a sad moment, but out of that, a movement is exploded. I believe that this censorship took this thing to a level, and as I said the next morning, to watch thousands and thousands of free citizens around the world posting in spite of the warnings from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I think you have ignited the people with this moment. I think it's the greatest act of censorship probably since Nazi Germany, and the world just saw it happen before their eyes. I want to thank you for your time. I look forward to future productions that you have. Please keep us informed so that we can also make sure that everyone knows the work that you're doing. Thank you for taking the time and joining us today. Keep up the great work.
Thank you very much.
It's absolutely outrageous. Not only was it taken down and censored off of all the social media platforms, the America's Frontline doctors had their own website, and the host or developer of that website, however it was put on the web, took it down. America's Frontline doctors' website goes dark as platforms scramble to scrub misinformation. there it is, Dr. Simone Gold. Wow, our website host at Squarespace has just completely and arbitrarily shut down our website, claiming a violation of their terms of service. We are a group of physicians advocating for a better understanding of COVID-19 and its available treatment options. This is outrageous. It sure is, Dr. Simone Gold. Well, there were many doctors that stood on the steps. Others Skyped in. One of the doctors that was a part of this incredible event is Dr. Jeffrey Barkey. You're taking time from your practice right now. Why did you get involved with this event?
Because it's the right thing to do. So I've known Simone Gold for a while. She and I have been on the front lines in putting out a different narrative than the mainstream media. And she's the brainchild behind organizing this America's Frontline Doctors event. Unfortunately, I've got a couple very sick COVID-19 patients, so I couldn't leave town. I wanted to stay home to continue to provide care for them. But I was able to Skype in the morning of the Monday press conference and participate. And I spoke specifically on the issues of opening up schools.
And what is it you want to share about opening up schools? I mean, this is such a huge debate right now in Texas. My children's private school is saying we will probably be learning online at least for the first quarter of school. Others are talking about potentially masks or plastic things being put up. Should we be afraid for our children? And even more so, should teachers be afraid of their students?
Del, it really makes no sense at all. If you just follow the science, kids are of very, very low risk of COVID-19. I practice out here in California, and I'm actually involved in opening up a charter school in Orange, California. I'm the co-founder and board chair. And in California, exactly 0 children have died of COVID-19. And there is no evidence that children give this disease to their at-risk teachers. As a matter of fact, there isn't one case identified in the entire world of a school child giving COVID-19 to their at-risk teacher. There are so much other risks that we ignore, if you will, or we just accept. For example, in California, a child has a 50-time greater risk of dying from drowning than they do of COVID-19, but we don't close the pools or the oceans or the beaches because of that. We accept the level of risk. And children have very low risk of COVID-19. There is no reason for us to keep the schools closed. It's damaging the children, it's hurting our economy, and it's just not fair that we close our schools down.
I saw an article that actually said that a school may be the safest place for an adult teacher to be since you have such a low rate of infection. It's almost like you have that herd immunity inside the school. That's the one place you may not be able to contract it because kids are a buffer for this disease. I mean, that was an article, and again, on this show, I try to say, I'm just presenting, other people's stories. Where do you weigh in on that? Is it possible that could be a safe place to be for people?
Well, I wrote an article not long ago called Herd Immunity Matters. rxforliberty.com. rxforliberty.com is my website where you can find that and other articles. And the reality is, the more we keep ourselves and children locked inside the house, the less they are out having their immune system challenged, which is good for us. Think of it this way. There's an expression that people put on the COVID-15 from not going to the gym, from being indoors, from comfort eating, and so forth. So when we work out, our body remains strong. When we stop working out, our body weakens. And then the first time we work out, of course, we get sore and we realize how out of shape we are. The same is true of our immune system. If our immune system isn't constantly being challenged with the millions of bugs and bacteria and viruses that are out there, the immune system will slowly weaken. And then ultimately, when you go out into society, you're more likely to get a cough or a cold, etc. Schools are very safe places for our children. There is absolutely no reason not to open our schools with very minimal restrictions. So my charter school, Orange County Classical Academy, our plan was to open with restrictions such as temperature checks before kids come to school, good hygiene and sanitation in our schools, not allowing ill kids or parents or teachers or staff to come to school, some common sense things. Yeah. But masking of children, social distancing of children, reduce census classrooms, makes no sense at all. This is all about union power to control the schools. As a matter of fact, UTLA, the second largest teachers union in the country, came out with a list of demands that need to be met. It's basically a ransom list in order for those teachers to come back to school. One of them is we need to defund police and remove police officers from school campuses. The other is a demand for Medicare for all in the state of California, which, if you live in California, doesn't surprise anybody. But this has nothing to do with education. This is about union power and control. And the only people being hurt by this is our children. And for them to say they care about kids is just nonsense. They don't. If they did, they would follow the science and open up the schools.
Outrageous. I mean, it has nothing to do, you're right. I mean, what do those things have to do with being able to teach a class of children that need you? It's really disappointing that that is the level of concern for their children, that none of their concerns have anything to do with the kids that need to have that social environment, need to interact, need to be out in the world, need to be hopeful for their future. Instead, all they care to discuss are political issues that are being hyped up by, you know, the media. Let me ask you probably a very difficult question. I don't mean to really spring this on you, but you are a practicing physician. There were multiple practicing physicians involved in this incredible event. I am sure that you were trained and most of your career have amazing respect for the FDA, the CDC, people like Tony Fauci. In this time, those people are basically saying to not listen to you, that you're lying or these doctors are lying. You are, honestly, this group is being accused potentially, the reason it was taken down, potentially putting people at a deathly risk. What is this making you think about these, you know, health bodies, these health departments? Is it changing your perspective of how this system of medicine works?
You know, Del, I'm very disappointed in a lot of these governmental agencies. And as you alluded to earlier in your show, two of the most respectable medical journals on this planet, The Lancet and the New England Journal of Medicine, both retracted negative stories about hydroxychloroquine. I've never in my career seen that happen before. Within just a few weeks, two of the most prestigious medical journals both had to retract stories. The reality is this is not about hydroxychloroquine. It really isn't. You know, if you look up hydroxychloroquine, it's one of the few drugs that are FDA approved to be used during pregnancy and during breastfeeding, just to underscore the safety of these drugs. This is not about that at all. And all around the world, there are many countries that hydroxychloroquine is over the counter, which it should be here as well, which would take away the politics of hydroxychloroquine. It is an incredibly safe medication. I have used it numerous times successfully. I am lucky to say that I've not had a single patient that I've treated for COVID-19 with hydroxychloroquine end up in the hospital. When used early with mild symptoms, it is a successful, excellent medication. But even if you don't believe that, and even if you look at some studies that show that there isn't benefit, that's not what it's about. It's about the sacrosanct relationship of a physician and their patient to, in the comfort of their office, to have a discussion about the risks, benefits, alternatives, for a physician to be able to use their experience, wisdom, and knowledge to make a decision with patient consent as to what's best for them. And unfortunately, because hydroxychloroquine is now political and more difficult to prescribe, many doctors are just throwing up their hands and saying they're not going to use it. And I think as a result, patients are suffering. I heard your story and I've read about Ohio making hydroxychloroquine illegal to prescribe. Illegal to prescribe? No, it's okay if I write an OxyContin or Vicodin prescription. That's right. Still legal. But a safe medication like hydroxychloroquine that's over the counter and approved to be used during breastfeeding and pregnancy, that's the one we should go after. It makes no sense at all. This is not about hydroxychloroquine.
What is it about? This is the last question I'm going to ask you. In your mind, as you sit here, this stuff doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense that government health agencies would be gunning on there's a few treatments out there, but honestly, if this is a deadly epidemic, We would imagine, based on every movie we've ever seen, that hospitals are saying, hey, we're having success with this. Well, we're having success with this treatment. Try ours. You try ours. Oh, you know, I just heard from Nigeria that they're having success. I mean, that's how the movies work, right? We all go, we listen to doctors. They're having success. I've never seen a time where they're gunning at treatments almost as though they hope they don't work. Journals publishing articles without really doing due diligence because they want to be a part of the kill shot on a potential treatment. What is really going on in your mind?
It's actually pretty simple. It's just you and I here, right, Del? No one else is listening?
That's right, just you and I.
Okay. COVID chaos helps to unelect President Donald Trump, full stop. November 4th, the COVID-19 crisis ends. You can take that to the bank. That's the reality of the situation. All the forces that hate our president will do anything they can to maintain the chaos of this COVID crisis, whether it's the numbers of new patients or deaths, whether it's the false numbers that are being published by medical journals about hydroxychloroquine, whatever it is, whatever the angle, they will do stop at nothing to ensure that President Trump is unelected. I truly believe that because you may remember, Del, on March 19th, I was driving to work. I used to listen to all the morning press conferences about hydroxychloroquine and COVID-19 and so forth. And it was on March 19th that President Trump, during the press conference, made mention of hydroxychloroquine. I had about 10 minutes to go before I got to the office, and I remember thinking to myself, will I make it to the office before my phone blows up with patients requesting and asking about hydroxychloroquine? I pulled into the parking lot of my office. I already had 2 text messages from patients interested in the drug and wanting to know more. And it was from that moment on that it was game on as it related to hydroxychloroquine. And it's a damn shame because this is a good drug. At best, it won't harm anybody, and
right.
It just might help people. And that's been my experience. Dr. Zelenko, Dr. Stella, who has been torn apart, one of the frontline doctors as well, and some of the other physicians as well. We have all been using it. I have not harmed a single patient with this, and it's been enormously helpful for the patients that I have treated.
I thank you for that perspective. Thank you for taking the time from your practice. Thank you for being on the front lines and being a doctor willing to step out from under, oppressive protocols and actually just deal with your patients directly, use your own critical thinking and investigation abilities. That's what we believe doctors are supposed to be doing. That's certainly what I believe you should be doing. And I want to thank you. I'm sure for the patients that you have, they are lucky to have you. Thank you for taking the time, and I look forward to speaking to you in the future.
Thank you, Del. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, take care. If you liked that clip, then be sure to check out our live broadcast of The High Wire every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. You can watch it on Facebook, iTunes, and Twitter. We'll see you there.